Hello, students. In this session, we'll sort out the queries, different queries of students. So it's about object-oriented programming. So the first and the major question may be, what is the difference between procedural programming and uh, the object-oriented programming? So I'd like to cover this up with the help of the article which is available in on the internet. See, first I'd read it out and then I'll try to make points clear. Procedural programming can be defined as programming model which is derived from structured programming based on the concept of calling procedures. Procedures are simply the functions or the methods. Procedure is the name given to the functions or the method that we make. Procedures also known as routine. Yes, they are also known as routines, subroutines. Okay, procedures, routine, subroutine, function or method are all same, almost same. They all simply consist of series of computational steps to be carried out. What does a function contain? Function contains the steps to be performed when it is called. We have already seen how we call the functions. And yes, functions contains what the codes, the steps to do something, and we just call in and the get done. So during a program's execution, any given procedure might be called at any point, including by other procedures or itself. Means you can call any function anytime. Any other function can call any other function. So these things happens in the procedural programming. I know that still it is not clear. I'll make the points clear. So has the name given of few procedural programming language: Fortran, Algol, COBOL, Basic, Pascal, and C. Okay, formula translation is there. Algol is for yes, making scientific softwares. Common business oriented language. This is COBOL is for making business softwares. Basic, Pascal is another language. C is one of the most prominent procedural programming language. So this is all. Now, what is object oriented? Okay, object oriented can be defined as a programming model which is based upon the concept of objects. Object oriented ऑब्जेक्ट के कॉन्सेप्ट पे चलता है. What does this mean then? Actually, let us first read it and then try to. Objects contain data in form of attribute and code in form of methods. देखो कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट है, any object, you just look around, you'll find objects. कोई भी objects like I have a mouse in my hand or I have a keyboard or anything, just laptop or a book I have taken. This book is there with me. So these all are object, and if you'll see, then you'll find that every object has what has its attribute and the behavior. Attribute like इसका रंग कैसा होगा, इसका size कैसा होगा, इसका आकार कैसा होगा. Those things are the attributes, and behavior means what that object will do. Okay, like if we talk about a book, then what we can do with it? We can turn on the page, we can fold the paper, we can do a lot of things with these what I say object. Take any other object, like take a jar in which we keep jar made up of a glass or a plastic jar. If you talk about the attribute of jar, may have the size, jar may have the color, red color jar or something like that, and yes, quality may be another attribute. You can think of this. Now, what are the behavior associated with it? What functions can be performed over the jar? We can open the lid, we can put something, we can again close it, we can just these things can be done with it. Now, if you talk about a music system, then this is an object. What are the object? What are the properties? The brand is its attribute, the color of the music system, uh, and the weight, the size, the design of it, and other things are the and what function it can do. We can play, we can pause, we can rewind, we can forward, we can choose other options for setting the music. These are so. This is how we think of any function. I mean, think of any program also. So if you're making any program, like if you're making a program for bank, if you're making a program for some business, if you're making program for yourself, like Suppose you are making program to find interests on the given sum of money. Okay, so anything that is given to you, you need to think it like an object. So suppose we want to make a program for finding the interest, then what data is needed? You have to think. We need the principal amount within the time. We need the rate of interest. Another thing is two functions could be there. One function could be there to find the simple interest. One function could be there to find the compound interest. So this is how we think. Okay. So in short, we need to transform a given problem in form of any object. So you will clearly understand the major difference between them only when you will start programming and coding. Okay, but these texts will help you a bit to just differentiate between them. So what I was telling you, object oriented programming can be defined as a programming model which is based on the concept of object. Everything is transformed in form of an object, and object contains attribute and the behavior, and attributes are kept or stored in form of data. That's why in our object oriented we first make a data section and then we make methods or functions. In object oriented programming, computer programs are designed using concept of object that interact with the real world. हम ऐसा एक प्रोग्राम बनाने का प्रयास करते हैं, इसमें एक चीज बनाने का प्रयास करते हैं, एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनाने का प्रयास करते हैं जो रियल वर्ल्ड के साथ इंटरेक्ट कर सके ढंग से. Object oriented programming languages are various, but most popular ones are class based. So these all are Java, which we are learning, C++, C, Sharp, this is read C Sharp, Python, PHP, JavaScript, Ruby, Perl, Objective C, Dart, Swift, Scala. These all are the object-oriented programming. And in future, other programming languages may come. As I have said you once again earlier also, and once again, I'd like to tell you that if you have learned any one programming language, it will be easy for you to learn any other programming language without any much difficulty. You can learn it now. Now let us have a look over the some more differences so that it could make a point more clear. In procedural programming, program is divided into a small part that is called functions. In procedural programming, we make a lot of functions. For every single thing that we need to do, we make functions and we call those functions and we get our work done. That's it. But in object-oriented programming, program is divided into small parts, class, object. In object-oriented programming, we make objects. Actually, we make classes. Class is the design and object is its instance. जैसे मान लो कि हमको एक कार बनाना है, which I have given in the last class also. तो या घर बनाना है या कुछ भी बनाना है, तो we first make a design. एक प्रारूप बनाते हैं, एक ब्लूप्रिंट बनाते हैं हम लोग कि हाँ भाई ऐसे रहेगा वैसे रहेगा, एक नक्शा बनाते हैं. आप कुछ भी बनाते हो तो पहले एक नक्शा ही बना लेते हो कि उसको फेर बदल करना, that make it easier in making a map or a design. So class is the design कि how the object is going to be. और उस नक्शे के मुताबिक, जैसे मुझे घर ही बनाना है तो मैंने पहले नक्शा बना लिया. अब उस नक्शे के मुताबिक मैं एक घर बनाऊं कि 10 घर बनाऊं कि 20 घर बनाऊं, वो सब उस नक्शे के मुताबिक बन रहा. तो दिस नक्शा, दिस ब्लूप्रिंट is the design, and the actual houses which are built are the actual objects. So this is the similarity or the relation between class and object. Somebody asked me what is the difference between class and object. So this is the difference between class and object. Class is just the blueprint, how the object is going to be. Like if you're making a car, then how many seating capacity will be, what will be the power of engine, what color of car, color not the size, shape, the design of car, where the AC will be there, what kind of music. These all things are the part of design. And when we actually make a car as per that design, that car is one object. If I made another car, that is the second object. If we made third object, this is third object. Like we can make any number of objects, any number of objects. This is the similarity or the relation or the difference between classes and object. Further, procedural programming follows top-down approach. Top-down approach means, I mean, first functions are made and then they are called. Bottom-up approach means, actually this point you cannot understand that clearly, but since it is there, let me tell you something. I'll make this point very clear next, because this will you will understand once you will be familiar with all these things. बॉटम ऑफ अप्रोच मीन्स इसमें हम लोग क्लास वगैरह बना लेते हैं और फिर उसे हम लोग कॉल करते हैं. ओके, so let us skip this. This is confusing at the beginning. There is no access specifier. Now this is the point. Access specifier is something about which video is also uploaded. Means you can specify that this particular member means this particular variable or this particular function may be public, private, like this. Means the thing which we are making public can be accessed by anyone, but the variables or the function that we are making private and public are the access specifier, which is not in procedural programming but which is there in तो प्राइवेट मेंबर्स को कोई भी एक्सेस नहीं कर सकता है, उस क्लास के मेंबर्स ही एक्सेस कर सकते हैं, बाहर से कोई नहीं कर सकता है, बट पब्लिक को कोई भी एक्सेस कर सकता है. तो these are some points which again you need to study. But in object oriented have access specifier like private, public or protected, जिससे हमारा थोड़ा सिक्योरिटी बढ़ता है. Adding new data and function is not easy. If once you have made a program and if you want to add data or functions, then it is tough in procedural programming language. But the same thing is easy if you are making the program using object oriented. How it is tough or how it is easy, you will only understand these things if once you will start making program actually, then you will understand all these things. Procedural programming does not have any proper way of hiding data. प्रोसीजरल प्रोग्रामिंग में कोई तरीका नहीं होता है डेटा हाइड करने का. मींस कोई भी फंक्शन को, कोई भी डेटा को कोई भी कहीं भी यूज कर सकता है. बट इन ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग प्रोवाइड डेटा हाइडिंग. डेटा हाइडिंग कैसे होता है ये सब हम लोग जब प्रोसीजरल सीखते चले जाएंगे तो समझ में आएगा. एक्चुअली हम लोग क्लास में सब चीज पैक करते हैं, फिर क्लास के फंक्शन को अगर हमें कॉल करना है तो वी मेक द ऑब्जेक्ट एंड देन कैन बी कॉल्ड. सो दिस इज हाउ द थिंग्स आर सिक्योर्ड, मोर सिक्योर्ड. In procedural programming, overloading is not possible. Another concept is function overloading or polymorphism is a concept which is uh, polymorphism or overloading are the similar things. About this also videos are uploaded. You may watch what is overloading. So this overloading is not possible in procedural programming, whereas in object oriented overloading is easily possible, which helps in some way. In procedural programming, function is more important than data. प्रोसीजरल प्रोग्रामिंग में फंक्शन ज्यादा जरूरी माना जाता है. डेटा बस होता है वहां पर काम करने के लिए, बस फंक्शन वहां ज्यादा जरूरी है. बट ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड में डेटा ज्यादा जरूरी है, क्योंकि डेटा ही वाकई ज्यादा जरूरी होना चाहिए. कि डेटा किसी का नाम, किसी का पासवर्ड, किसी का ये, किसी का वो, दिस और डेटा. सो डेटा शुड बी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड डेटा इज गिवन मोर इंपॉर्टेंस इन object oriented programming. Now you may ask how. So that how you will understand just slowly. I mean, if you'll start learning, if you'll start making, then only you can understand. Procedural programming is based in Unreal World, means this is just a software which is just solving a problem. Whereas object oriented is close to real world, means you just simply transform any given problem into object, and as you interact with any object, the names are given, उसी तरह से हम प्रोग्राम के साथ भी इंटरेक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो यही एग्जांपल्स, here example C, Fortran, these are the example of procedural programming where procedures are made and work is done, whereas C++, Java, Python, these are the object oriented and they all work in a similar way, more or less. So this is how we have discussed the differences, and yes, for the beginners these differences are not that clear, so I would not tell you to make this point clear right now. It's not unnecessary. These points will become clear to you as and when you will start learning, and means making programs, the points will become clear. So let us now see some more issues. How many objects can be made? So let me tell you. Oh, let me open the program. Look, this is one of the object-oriented program which I have made. This is the name of class, first OOP. This is any name you can give. In this, we have made data section, function section. We have made three functions, for one for input, another for processing, another for output. You can make any function. Any number of functions can be made with any name, with all the things that you have learned, like function with argument, no argument, return, no return, everything. And yes, we are making one object, object one. We are making another object, object two. We have given not the object two. This is the any name. And like this, you can create any number of object. There is no limitation of the number of objects. Like I said, no, if you are making a design, like this is the design from here till here is a design. Yeah, our object will be like this. It will have the capacity to hold three numbers. It will have a button or a function. If it will do or invoke this function, it will start in inputting. If it will invoke this one process, then it will start processing, and it will invoke this function. Invoking means calling a function. It is similar to like pressing a button. Like if you have uh, any device, like you have washing machine at your home, if you uh, turn on the knob for washing, it will wash. It will turn on the drain knob, then it will drain. For drying, another knob is there. So the same way the functions are there, like a real life object. Like in mixer grinder, you may see one button is for I mean rotating the motor, one for switching it off. Like in microwave, you have buttons for different things. In your television remote control, you have button for the same way. These are, you can consider these as the button. When you will press these buttons, they will work. And to get the work done properly, you need to press these buttons, or you need to call this button in a proper sequence. In my previous video, I've shown you that if you'll not call the function in a proper sequence, then you will not get desired result. So although you can call the result function first, output function तुम फर्स्ट में ही कॉल कर सकते हो, तुम लास्ट में इनपुट कॉल सब उसी तरीके से कॉल होगा जैसा तुम चाहते हो, बट रिजल्ट सही नहीं आएगा. तो इसीलिए सही तरीका क्या है, पहले इनपुट फंक्शन कॉल करेंगे. और एक बात कि आपको कंफ्यूज नहीं होना है कि इनपुट मैंने लिखा है तो आपको अपने सभी प्रोग्राम्स में इनपुट इनपुट ही पहले लिखना है फिर प्रोसेस. दिस इज जस्ट द नेम ऑफ फंक्शन. Just to show you how good this object-oriented program could be made, I have made. You can give any name. So the answer to the question that how many objects we can make any number of objects. There is no limitation. And yes, the major thing that you have to understand. And again, I would like to tell this point because this is what you have to understand. This is the major part of object-oriented programming. Look, what I'm trying to tell you is, देखो, जैसे एक क्लास हमने बनाया, हाँ, फर्स्ट ओ, हाँ, इसमें हमने क्या बनाया, एक ए, एक बी और एक आर रिजल्ट के लिए, ये बनाया हमने. फिर दो फंक्शंस हमने बनाए, इनपुट, प्रोसेस, आउटपुट. ठीक है, ये हमने बनाया, ये यहां से यहां तक बनाया, एक डिजाइन है ये. फिर जब हम एक ऑब्जेक्ट बनाते हैं OB1, तो OB1 का ए, OB1 का बी, OB1 का आर, और OB1 का जब हम इन फंक्शन कॉल करेंगे तो जो भी इनपुट होगा वो OB1 के ए और बी में जाएगा, या जो भी काम होगा OB1 का अलग कॉपी बनता है रैम में. ठीक है, प्रोसेस और OB1 का आउटपुट जो भी है. जैसे हम OB2 बनाते हैं, ऑब्जेक्ट 2, ऑब्जेक्ट का भी नाम कुछ भी हो सकता है, एंड दैट्स व्हाट आई हैव मेड क्लियर हियर. एनी नेम आई हैव गिवन, so to write any name, no need to write OB1 OB2 always, huh? Most of you just stick this in your mind, so that becomes a little confusing for you. So as and when we will make various objects, so separate copies of those things get created. You have to keep this in your mind forever, कि जब भी हम कोई जितना भी ऑब्जेक्ट बनाएंगे उतना अलग अलग व्यवस्था. जैसे इसी तरह का हो गया कि एक कार मैंने बनाया तो गैराज में वो इतना जगह लिया, फिर हम दूसरा कार भी लेके आ रहे हैं तो वो भी उतना ही जगह लेगा, फिर तीसरा कार लेके आएंगे तो तीसरा कार भी उतना ही जगह लेगा, चौथा कार लेके जाएंगे तो चौथा कार भी उतना ही जगह लेगा. तो इस तरह से ध्यान से समझिए. जैसे ये ऑब्जेक्ट 1 हो गया, मान लीजिए ऑब्जेक्ट 2 हो गया, तो हमारे गैराज में ऑब्जेक्ट 3 हो गया, 3 गाड़ियां हैं. ठीक है, ऑब्जेक्ट 1, ऑब्जेक्ट 2, यहाँ पर समझा देते हैं आपको. तो इसी तरह का कुछ है वहां पर भी. तो और इस ऑब्जेक्ट को इस ऑब्जेक्ट से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, मगर मतलब ये कि अगर इसके ए में हम कुछ डाल रहे हैं तो इसके ए में जा रहा है, यहाँ कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, या इसमें हम कुछ कर रहे हैं, जैसे मान लो इस गाड़ी में हम कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो इसमें क्या फर्क पड़ना है यार। हाँ, फर्क सिमिलैरिटी दोनों में इतना ही है कि दोनों सेम डिजाइन का कार है, सेम मॉडल है, बस इतना ही सिमिलैरिटी है। बाकी इसका व्यवस्था अलग है, इसका व्यवस्था अलग है। दीज टू आर सेपरेट थिंग्स. So this is the concept you have to keep in your mind about the object oriented programming. And once you will start making any real life object, or real if you'll work over the real life project, then these points will become more clear for you. So this is the design, and this is the, and one more query was asked, is it necessary to make different classes like first class I have made? No, 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 no. You can keep the main function in that, in the same class also, no problem. This is absolutely fine, no problem. Just remove it. Now we have what main function is also there in the first loop class. Only one class is there now. Save it. Let us once compile it also. The point should be very clear in your mind. Okay. Sorry. Actually, there is some problem in Java configuration, so forget it. But it will work. Okay. Fine. Okay. So go for the next query. This question. While creating object, is it important to write the class name? So the query is asked by one student that is it important to write the first OOP? Why it is important? So listen, dear students. This has been taught to you earlier that how many data types are there? Two types of data are there. One is primitive, one is non-primitive. So primitive we have already seen. Non-primitive means classes, arrays are non-primitive data types. So this class we are making now is a derived data, a composite data type. Composite data types are made out of these things. These make a data type. So class also is a data type. First OOP, if I'm giving this name, then this is a data type, and we can make variables of that type. Like int is a data type, we are making two variables, three variables, n1 and 2 and 3. The same way, first OOP is a data type, and OB1 we are making, no, this is a kind of variable of this type. And we, when we create object, no, we are actually creating a variable of this type. So you may ask, can we just we write, no, int a b c, can we write OB3, OB4, OB5, OB6 like this? We can we make, or any name like mango, apple, Maruti, Pulsar, Splendor, Bullet. Can we give these name to object? Yes, of course you can give. And can we define, not this Terminator is there. Can we write names like this? Of course you can write like this also. Then why we are writing like this? So let me make the point clear. This new keyword actually allocate space, as I demonstrated, कि जब न्यू कीवर्ड हम लिखते हैं तो एक्चुअल में उसके लिए रैम में जगह अलाउट होता है इस तरीके से। जब तक हम ऐसे लिखे हैं वी कैन नॉट यूज दीज ऑब्जेक्ट्स। तो हमें अगर मान लो कि बुलेट ऑब्जेक्ट को यूज करना है, देन वी नीड टू राइट लाइक दिस। सिंस वी हैव ऑलरेडी declared that, so this time we don't need to write the name again, first OOP bullet, just since it is already created. So now bullet equals new first OOP। फर्स्ट OOP हम क्यों लिख रहे हैं कि भैया बुलेट नाम के ऑब्जेक्ट को इसके मुताबिक, इस क्लास के मुताबिक नया जगह प्रोवाइड करो रैम में। नया जगह कैसे प्रोवाइड करेगा? देखेगा कि इसमें क्या वेरिएबल है, क्या डेटा है, तो उस हिसाब से वो जगह प्रोवाइड करेगा। यहाँ जैसे जगह प्रोवाइड किया, यहाँ बुलेट के लिए, ये ऑब्जेक्ट का नाम है बुलेट, इसको भी जगह मिल गया, बुलेट का ए, बुलेट का बी, बुलेट का आर, ऐसा